The relief that people need in this country and the world over is a relief from the exploitation and the criminal actions of the banks and the corporations who have, in their own arrogance, decided to meet today over this financial crisis and find a way to divvy up more money to more banks to, quote-unquote, make the system more solvent. But the only thing that can make the system more solvent is to bail out people, not to bail out banks, to make sure people can stay in their homes, to make sure people can have a job, to make sure that people are not losing everything as they are now. What this is just like any of these other big bank meetings. It's just like what they did with the bailout and Treasury Secretary Paulson. They're going to take somebody's money and they're going to put it in the pockets of the corporations who created this crisis and continue to get rich off of this. We've already seen companies like AIG, we've seen companies like Goldman Sachs take the billions of dollars of taxpayer money and then use that to do whatever they want, to give themselves bonuses and to give themselves higher wages, or raises, excuse me. And what we're out here to say is no to that we stand against any sort of giveaway to the banks or the corporations and the greed of these multinational institutions that are forcing countries to eliminate social services to get money to help them with the bailout, that are forcing countries to do all sorts, or dictates on very different sorts of countries to only get money to save their citizens if they will agree to the international lending obligations. And we say no to this. We say no to any giveaway to corporations. We want money for people. We want people for jobs, for education, for health care, and into war and poverty and injustice. And we're out here at this bankers meeting to say money for jobs and education.
Hi, my name is Crystal Kim, and I'm from Washington, D.C., and I'm a student and an organizer with the Answer Coalition.
And Crystal, why are you here today at this summit conference protesting?
Well, this is a very historical event. There's 20 countries represented at this G20 summit, and these 20 countries combined have 85% of the wealth of the entire world. And here they're claiming to talk about economic solution to the current crisis that is impacting people all over the world. And the fact is that we know that according to the status quo and according to the behavior of these people in the past, we know that what they're talking about is the economic health of the richest 2% of the people in their respective countries and in the world, not 85% of the people, not the working class, not poor people, not the people who are actually facing immense suffering right now due to the economic crisis.
Don't you think it's kind of ironic that these people who are the super ultra capitalists end up getting bailed out via a socialist process where the people are subsidizing these guys? What do you think of that?
Well, I wouldn't call it socialism, because particularly since none of the people who are actually creating the wealth of the society ever get to see any of those resources. But it's true. I mean, this is complete theft. It's a grand theft bailout that's happened, and it's what the Democratic and Republican parties brought to the working class of the United States. You know, a grand theft bailout of, you know, what's going to be over $1 trillion of taxpayers' money, money of people who are really, truly facing economic hardship right now, and, you know, siphoning that off right to the richest people who created this crisis in the first place. Working people didn't create this crisis, so why should we have to pay for it? What we're asking for, demanding that jobs and education and a moratorium on foreclosures and evictions, that those things be prioritized in this economic stimulus plan that they're talking about, I think that's a completely rational demand.
And your name, young lady?
My name is Radhika Miller.
And why are you here protesting this summit conference today?
We're protesting the summit because what the G20 does is uses its leverage in the World Bank and the IMF to actually suppress smaller countries and force them into giving money. So what we're seeing here is basically going to be a larger scale of what's happened with the bailout, which is holding a gun to people's heads and saying, give us your money, we need it for our things, and they're just going to waste it away the way that the banks did here and the way the banks have done all around the world to bail themselves out. The people across the world are becoming homeless, they're losing their homes, they're losing their jobs, and that's what the people's money should be used for, not to bail out the big corporations.
Are you outraged, like many Americans are, about the fact that the Treasury Secretary and the head of the Fed could go to Congress with a 3-page memorandum and say, give me $700 billion or else?
Oh, it's outrageous. It's holding a gun to people's head, and blatantly unconstitutional. They can't do that, and it's basically saying, people, pay for our mistakes, pay for what we've been doing, pay for our greed, give us your money, otherwise you're going to lose your jobs. But what's happening is people are losing their jobs anyway, and people are losing their homes anyway, and the money's not going to stop the foreclosures. It didn't stop foreclosures. We're calling for a moratorium on all foreclosures. That's the true way to help people.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, well, thanks so much.
Well, you know, as I got up this morning and thought about what I was going to do, I thought about the school cuts that were in the newspaper today. And I thought about how the backs of this crisis are going to be laid on the school system and people whose homes are being foreclosed on. And as they sit there in those meetings, that's not their concern, but that is my concern. And I also feel like they are trying to prop up a system that is really very bankrupt. The poorest countries in this world are suffering from starvation and lack of water and things like that, and that's not on their agenda. What's on their agenda is how to get through this immediate financial crisis so that the system that they make so many profits on can continue. And we know that when that happens, you know, it's us, the working people in this country and throughout the world, that are going to have to pay for it. As an educator, I see the cuts already coming down in the school system. I know of children whose very housing situation is in jeopardy. They don't know, you know, they come to school hungry. I'm concerned about the school lunch programs being cut. You know, just the very basic necessities of health care. And I just wanted to be out here today with the Answer Coalition to voice my concerns and to say that we need money for jobs and education and not for these banks and these financial institutions that they're so desperate to prop up.
Anything else, Liz?
That's really it. You know, I encourage people to get involved, to understand that while there is a new president in the United States, this struggle is far from over. We have enormous challenges, and that if we work together in coalitions, we can really make a lot of advances and really show people what the system is really about. That's what we need to do, really educate people about this system and why it puts profits before people.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
I've partnered with a number of friends. I'm an officer with a group based in Baltimore, Maryland, called the Campaign for Fresh Air and Clean Politics. And we've launched a new coalition called BreakTheBailout.com. And the reason that I'm interested in coming here today and protesting against the G20 summit of banksters and transnational international corporations who want to ensure that they retain their control of our economy. The reason I'm here to protest that is that we have another vision for America's future and the world's future. It's a democratic vision that says that all people have the right to have a say in what goes on in their own economy. At BreakTheBailout.com, you'll be able to find a lot more information, different ideas about a democratic road to a future economy, a green economy, that uses new green building techniques and green respect for the environment as an engine to build a new democratic economy. So I want to invite everyone to check out BreakTheBailout.com, a coalition that concentrates on what the people want and what the people need, because about 85 to 90% of the people in America today are saying no to this big bailout of Wall Street. We need to bail out Main Street.